Broadcasting from the heart of rural America in beautiful downtown St. Joe, Missouri, this is Angus Talk. I'm your host, Doug Medlock, and joining us today, Dr. Larry Corah, the Vice President of Supply Development for Certified Angus Beef. He's from Manhattan, Kansas, home of those Wildcats. Are you going to have a football team this year, Larry?
Well, rumor is that Coach Snyder is going to have a team and field it, and we'll see what happens. Fall is always a fun time of the year. College football is just a fun time of the year, and I personally enjoy it a lot.
And there's a lot of spirit out there in Manhattan. I've seen it firsthand. Dr. Larry Corah, tell us about your job at with Certified Angus Beef. What do you try to get done every day?
Well, my responsibilities fall in the whole area of supply management. As a program, we have grown tremendously from finally hitting 500 million pounds to setting a goal of being a billion-pound company, and we, of course, went over 800 million pounds. That's a lot of cattle. That's basically about 3.6 million head of cattle. And my responsibilities on the production side is to keep information flowing to those cow-calf producers, Angus seed stock producers that help create a supply of product to make sure we can meet consumer demands and the demands of our 15,000 plus licensees.
So what it means to producers is they got to get to work.
There is, and you know, the technology and the things that we have available are just outstanding today in the industry. We can really hit these high quality targets, these prime premium choice products like Certified Angus Beef. We've got the genetic tools, the management tools, the information out there that these targets are achievable. And the positive part is they need to be rewarded for these efforts. They need to have opportunities to capture premiums, and there's some tremendous premiums being paid in the industry for the high quality product.
How do producers go about targeting breeding for Certified Angus Beef?
Well, in fact, the first step is really genetic selection, and when you're going to hit a premium market, important to keep in mind that sure things like red meat production, fat content on this product are important, but they have to have marbling in these cattle. And so the ability of these cattle to marble, to meet the modest level of marbling for premium choice, to meet the marbling levels required for prime. Marbling is a highly heritable trait. It's a trait that consumers, because of their appreciation of beef flavor, put a fair bit of emphasis on from a buying standpoint. So genetic selection certainly becomes a key. But then once you make that genetic selection, then management of those cattle all the way from the time the mating or the initial breeding decisions are made all the way till that product hits the packing plant are important steps as well.
And crossbreeding has been popular for a long time now. It's a way of getting hybrid vigor. Explain the benefits of crossbreeding.
Well, the benefits of crossbreeding, you know, if you really go back far enough in the beef industry, go back into the 40s and 50s, most of the cow herds in the United States were straight-bred cattle operations. But these were operations that we didn't have the growth in cattle. We didn't have the amount of muscle. We didn't have the management of fat the way we needed to. And so we had the introduction of some of the continental breeds that had a big impact, created heterosis. It created it really improved the growth rate of these cattle. It improved the red meat production. And so crossbreeding became very popular, very much ingrained in our industry in the 60s and 70s. And of course, one of the challenges that happens when you introduce that, the first crosses, tremendous response as we create these F1 cattle. Then as we started getting fascinated with all the different breeds that existed, pretty soon a lot of these herds went from truly capitalizing on heterosis to really kind of a mongrelized herd, and unfortunately an awful lot of that yet exists in the industry.
And last year you worked with Dr. Neville Spear at the University of Western Kentucky writing a big paper, a white paper about crossbreeding. What was the purpose of that?
Well, the purpose of that was I think the benefits of crossbreeding are very obvious. You know, the value of heterosis relative to fertility and to some extent growth are very obvious and well documented in the science. What doesn't get talked about is, you know, if I've kind of used a lot of different combinations and my cow herd is a mixed herd, how do I get back to uniformity? How do I get back to consistency? How do I incorporate convenience traits like calving ease, disposition on these cattle? A lot of things that are extremely important. And so, what Neville talks about in the white paper is there are tremendous benefits with heterosis, but also as a lot of our cow-calf producers in the United States do, they follow a straight breeding program, and they accomplish it very nicely through the selection of the right kind of genetics. That's a real key, is using the right genetics. But if they use those right genetics, both systems, both a crossbreeding system or a straight breeding system, can work very nicely for cow-calf producers.
But either way, you got to keep track of what you're breeding to what.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a great point. That's a really key point, and that is you've got to use the right genetics with the right focus. And I think an important focus to not lose sight of in the cattle industry is the people, particularly with the price of beef right now, the consuming public, have got to be willing to pay for that. We've got to produce a kind of product that they're wanting to consume, and so keeping in mind that end consumer is critically important in managing any type of a breeding program, and that information that's going to create that kind of product become very key in a genetic selection program or a breeding program.
Well, how was you're kind of swimming upstream with this white paper, then how was that received? That surprised some people.
Well, it did, in the sense that I think a lot of times, a lot of what gets advocated and talked about in the industry are always just the positive parts of crossbreeding. They don't always talk about some of the challenges. One of the challenges for a lot of cattle producers is simply implementing a good crossbreeding program. It's not easy. A lot of times they may not have access to some of the genetics, either a breeder in their area to buy bulls from or buy semen from. And so in a lot of operations, it becomes a lot more convenient, a lot easier to just use the genetic selection on a straight breeding program rather than try to implement crossbreeding. And what the paper did is really start pointing out some of these factors are to help explain why some of the producers are doing what they're doing and making it work very nicely in the industry.
We're talking with Dr. Larry Corah from Certified Angus Beef. This is Angus Talk.
It's time to revive rural America. To help our small-town communities move forward, to keep our farms and ranches on a path of prosperity. That's what the Angus Foundation is all about. Each year, we work hard to help kids attend college, providing scholarships to tomorrow's leaders. We invest in research that's critical to our livelihood. And we create educational opportunities for America's cattle producers, ensuring their continued professional development. Won't you help us? Contact the Angus Foundation today.
And you're listening to Angus Talk. Our guest today, Dr. Larry Corah, the Vice President of Supply Development for Certified Angus Beef. We were talking about crossbreeding versus straight breeding. And tell us some of the benefits of straight breeding.
Well, one of the benefits of straight breeding is it really allows you to focus on that consumer and start stacking genetics. And we have a lot of producers that have been able to accomplish that as an industry. On the black-hided cattle, we're about 23-24% certified Angus beef acceptance rates. In contrast, when you start stacking genetics on both the cow side as well then on the bulls you use, you can move that to easily do doubling it to close to 50%, and we have producers that are achieving 70, 80, and 90% acceptance rates. And when you start doing that, that's when you really start getting into some of the real dollar premiums that exist in the industry. And so that's one of the real benefits is the economic benefit they can receive without having to sacrifice pounds. They still need to put emphasis on things where maybe heterosis might help a little bit, such as fertility. They need to put emphasis on on selecting and making sure that they do the preg testing, make sure that that they're maintaining reproductive efficiency in the herd. But they can accomplish these things very successfully in a straight breeding program, and we probably have close to 50% of our producers actually utilizing that kind of a program.
And that's how the Certified Angus Beef program could help your ranch or farm out there.
We create that marketing opportunity in terms of our brand, not only being a national brand, but a global brand that we sell into over 40 countries around the world. Have about 12-13% of our product flowing into that, and so we create that brand, we create that premium opportunity for the cattle producers to hit that target, and we really appreciate what they're doing to help us get that product in the hands of the consumer.
So the whole notion of straight breeding, you've worked with Tri-County Steer Futurity, Decatur County Feed Yard, and the Professional Cattle Consultants. Big numbers of cattle evaluated there. You've seen a ton of them. What have you learned from those tests?
Well, I think the real key thing and the real key message is you can have both growth in cattle, you can have quality in cattle, and when you create a combination of cattle that can grow, cattle that can grade, the thing that we have found is we will easily see a 50, 60, 80, sometimes even on these guys that hit the extreme high quality target, we can see $100 premiums on these cattle. That's real money in this industry. That's money that can be achieved. That's the kind of cattle that are profitable in the industry today. And by mining these databases and working with feedlots as well and putting this kind of information together, clearly in the industry today, cattle that can grow, cattle that can grade need to be the target of the industry. And this industry has a very nice long-term future if we can accomplish that type of thing in our breeding program.
It sounds like a win-win. Are there pitfalls to straight breeding? You've talked a little bit about how heterosis can help with some of those traits. Is there something somebody should look out for when straight breeding?
Well, I think the key thing that you want to focus on in a straight breeding program is that you do focus on the fertility aspects, because there is some truly benefits in terms of heterosis from a standpoint of fertility. So they need to keep putting the emphasis on making sure these cattle get pregnant. They get pregnant early in the breeding season, and they continue to maintain pregnancy rates. But if they're able to accomplish the 92, the 95% pregnancy rates or even higher, which many of these operations can in a straight breeding program, they need to keep the focus on reproductive efficiency, because that's a critical economic part of cow-calf operations. And these guys in general, if they put selection in the right areas and keep doing the management strategies, length of breeding season, pregnancy checking, those kind of things, they can accomplish reproductive efficiency, but that's something that they need to certainly focus on because it's so economically important.
So we've talked about what the producer can do at his farm, but what about tools, services at the American Angus Association and Certified Angus Beef? You guys got a lot of ways to help them.
Very definitely. I think to start with, you start with a tremendous genetic database that the American Angus Association has. Absolutely not only the best in the United States, but globally a tremendously well-respected database. It's large, it's extensive, it's comprehensive, and so the ability to use EPDs for marbling, being able to put genetic selection on marbling, being able to put genetic selection on growth, being able to put genetic selection on other traits that are economically important and predictable, knowing that if you use them, you're going to have predictability. But the really exciting area that we're actually partnering, we meaning the Certified Angus Beef Program, along with the American Angus Association and their subsidiary AGI, is now in the whole area of genomics. Use of DNA technology. We launched recently a product called GeneMax. It does focus on the exact things we're talking about here, and that is growth and grade. By being able to use that technology at a very reasonable price on commercial cattle, commercial cattlemen now can start using that in heifer selection programs to create that consistency, that predictability, and that's going to add a whole new exciting dimension to what we do in terms of cattle breeding over the next 5 and 10 years.
Well, and speaking about the future, everything's good with the beef business right now, but the economy as a whole is going through some tough times. What do you predict down the road, 5 to 10 years? What can producers do to prepare for stuff that's coming ahead?
Well, I think the first thing to keep in mind is that beef came through the economic recession that we had in that 2007, 2008, 2009 period of time very, very successfully. We were very pleased with the amount of sales that we had. In fact, we had some of the biggest growth years in the history of our company. Now, it shifted where they were consuming beef, away from going out as much to restaurants, more at-home type of grilling and cooking, so retail became a little higher percentage of our business and food service a little bit less. I think as we head down the road, both on a domestic standpoint, the key challenge we're going to have with beef is the price relative to other proteins, pork and poultry products. And so we've got to create a consistent eating experience. If we do that, I think we can keep beef as a center of the plate item, as a focal item as far as the consumer is concerned. And we're very optimistic in terms of that consumer, in spite of the challenge, and the big challenge for our industry is the reduction in cow herd size and the number of cattle that we're really going to be going to market with over the next 3 to 5 years. But if we go to market with the right kind of cattle, I think it's an exciting future in terms of beef as a product, but specifically the opportunities that are out there for these cow-calf producers, feedlot operators, and all the people that handle this product. the key is producing the right product, because we're not going to sell a real cheap product over the next few years.
Because as long as they're good, everybody loves a steak.
Everybody loves a steak, and one of the exciting things that's happened in the beef industry is what's happened to the whole ground beef side of things. Now, sure, we had a little bit of a tiff with the LFTB issue that surfaced, but ground beef is really become a key consumer item. It's used in so many ways. We've seen premium grind or burger places develop that we're seeing a lot of blends where we blend different primals, the brisket, the chucks, the rounds, and those kind of cuts. And so ground beef has become a tremendously important item to the industry right now. And premium grinds are selling extremely well. So we all love a great steak. We love those strips, tenderloins, but ground beef is very much a key part of this industry as well.
Man, you're making me hungry. I got to go have a burger now.
Hey, they're good. The general feedback we get is they're the great product.
There you go. Our guest was Dr. Larry Corah, Vice President of Supply Development for Certified Angus Beef. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, great talking to you.
Angus Talk is brought to you by the Angus Foundation, promoting education, youth, and research. Donate today by visiting angusfoundation.org. You can also find everything you ever wanted about Angus cattle by visiting angus.org. Sale calendars, sale reports, sale books, you name it. It's all there if you want to buy Angus cattle. I'm Doug Medlock. Thanks for listening to Angus Talk.